Hi, my name is Bill. I'm going to be your trainer today. Let's get started. In this lesson, I'm going to be using Perforations 16.2 Magics. The icons and the menus are a little bit different. So on the top of the screen, I put the Ultra and Desktop icons up there, and so we can refer to them. They're the exact same icons, but they're just located in the different positions. So let's bring in the Perforations 16 Magics, load that up. So I imported a simple ring to talk about supports. So let's generate the supports. Let's make sure that we have the proper default file for our supports up here. This is correct for that. If I wanted to change it in the Perforations version, I can actually click on it and then I can just change machine. If I'm using Ultra or Desktop version, I would go up to File and then I can select Change Machine from the File menu. So let's go in and I'm going to build with that. In this version, I'm going to go to Support Generation and I can select Generate Supports. So select this icon here. That icon is also located on the main menu of the Ultra and Desktop versions of the software. So we go in there and it's automatically creating the supports that it believes it needs, and this is what it created. So we could build this and it would build fine, but we can make some modifications and improve the outcome. And let's just zoom in here. The yellow support is the highlighted support over here on the right hand side under our support list, and that means that we can work on it. We can make changes on it. The other supports are in red. Whatever we do, they're not affected. We have this icon here. Again, on the other software, it's located in the middle on the icon up here. The support view, we can click on that. It'll turn off all the it'll hide all the other supports and it will just highlight the support that we're working with. So if I click on here, you can see the different supports highlighted. So let's work on this one, and I want to zoom in on this, take a look at potential problems that I may have. And if we looked in there, we can see this support is actually running into the side of the ring, and so it's running into the wall, and we don't want that, because if it grows like that, we're going to have to clean that up. So over here on the bottom, it shows us a top view and it shows us the supports. If I go into my 2D editor, this icon here, click on that button, it opens up this window. And in this window, I'm going to slide it over to the side here. I can actually clip the supports. I can use this tool right here and clip the supports. So let's watch what happens there. And I'm going to clip the supports in the center of the ring, and you can see now I have a gap between the wall of the ring and the supports, and that's what I want. I don't want the supports to grow into the wall, because I would have to remove that after I'm done. But you can also see I removed the center supports. Let's close out of this, and we'll do an unzoom. And you can see I removed these supports here. Well, if we did our Z multi-section, click on that, 25 microns, change the side, and we can do the check and see if we have any islands on our grow and go forward. And if you notice this spring, if you continued all the way up, it's all self-supporting. The only area where it starts to thin out very fast is right here. So I can put supports on this outside. The inside, I'm going to hit F11, get rid of that. The inside here is all self-supporting. The only time that we want to go and support this outside, which is, you could see in the Z multi-section, it looks like it's self-supporting. The only time we want to do that is support this cantilever ring that's coming out on the outside, is when it gets too far out, and then we don't get stability when we build. It's top heavy then, so we want to avoid it being top heavy and support it. So if we looked at our view, side view, so this is pretty stable. You look at the bottom here, you go straight up, it's not really top heavy. If I only put supports on the bottom here, it'd probably build fine. In fact, I know it will build fine. But if I get a situation where it's cantilevering way out here, I'm going to have to put supports on there just for stability purposes. So again, when we did the automatic supports, it gave supports all the way on this rim here. And then I can edit it out with the 2D editor. So let's unzoom this and turn off my multi-section, and then we'll go and we'll look at other supports. You can see inside here it has a support inside, and it actually has a support along the top rim. Let's turn, I'm going to use this selection here, and I'm going to select this support right here that turns on, and then I'm going to turn everything else off. We can see that support inside there. If we opened up the multi-section, Z 25 microns, we're going to build in, and we cut that down. The other side, I'm going to use and pull to drag this, just quickly go in there, and then we'll get into the details here. I am going to use my right arrow on my keyboard, and we'll zoom in there so we can see what's happening. Everything is self-supporting so far, and you continue up. Let me just turn off that support there, and that's the wall that support is supporting, that we're looking at right now. But you can see that that surface there is self-supporting. So let's turn that line back on. So there's no reason to have that support. It would be extremely hard to clean up, and there'd be no reason to have it. It would not help the build at all. So we're going to remove it. We have it highlighted. We can hit none here. So let's turn on all our supports now. Unzoom. So this is what we have to ensure that we have this support here, the bottom main support, our block support, and turn off my Z. So that's all the supports that we need here. So the supports that we need are 1, which is a block support, and 2 over here, which is a line support. Now all the other supports are turned off. They're deleted. They're not going to be used. But some occasion you're going to get some of these. I'm going to turn this to a line support. I'm going to turn this area. These are just areas that the automatic support is creating, but there's no supports in them when it says none. And let's change this to a point support, and you can see it's over here, and change this to a line support. These are all supports that we don't need. We've already determined we only need 1 and 2. But occasionally what you're going to see is that these supports are going to show up. So you see this support here, not needed, just going to cause a problem. So we've determined that 1 and 2 is required. I'm going to highlight 3. I don't need 3, it's already turned off. I'm going to go to this range, delete range supports. I'm going to click on that. A dialog box comes up. It's already highlighted 3 because I have highlighted 3 over here. I'm going to hit end. It's going to go all the way to the end of all the support areas, and there's 15 support areas. And I hit OK. It will turn all of them off. It will delete them. It will say none. They will not be used in creating the part. They will not be created. So that's an easy way to delete all the other supports not required. So this ring is completed. All we have to do is go into File, Export Supports, and it's going to save the _S, which would be the support file. We would hit OK on this. It saves the support file, and then we would go into Module, Exit Module, the support module. Do we want to save the project? This is the project. This will combine the support and the part together. We cannot use this in the Perfactory software. This would be only for reference only if we wanted to come back and change the support file. In this case, I'm going to say no. At this point, we have the part file, and we have the STL file, and the part file and the support file, and we could actually go down into Perfactory, bring this ring into Perfactory, and build it. But let's bring in another part. I brought in this simple part here, and let's put supports on it. First of all, let's translate it, and then let's go into support it. And we'll take a look at some of our options and how we can change the supports. So it created the supports, and you can see that unlike that ring, it stayed away from the edge and it did not go into the surface. But let's take that support and let's go into these different parameters here. Again, it's the support is yellow, we're working with it. And I go into this offset, and what offset determines is how far away. This red line indicates the boundary of the surface that's being supported, the boundary area of the support area. So if we look in there, we zoom in there, and this support is staying away from the edge indicated by the red. It is staying away 1 millimeter. So if I change that to, let's say, 0.5 millimeters, and then I use this regenerate, you're going to see that it actually will move the support closer to the edge. And I'm going to hit F11, get that base away so we can see this better. And if I went to 0 and regenerate, you're going to see it go right to the edge. Well, that will cause a problem. It'll taking that support off of there may break that sharp edge. So we want to stay, depending on the material, depending on the product, depending on the machine, basically your default will be approximately 0.4 there. But let's unzoom this and take a look at our wall. This again was 0. Let's zoom in here and look at this wall. You can see that here is the red line that indicates the boundary of the surface, but yet it doesn't go to that line. On this line, it goes straight to that line. Well, what's controlling that? So that's going to be controlled by your no support offset. If I change that to 0 and 0 and generate, and we're going to see it go right into that wall. Well, if it goes right into that wall, it's going to burn it right into that wall, and you're going to have to clean that up afterwards. So you want a space in between that vertical wall in there, and so we're going to put that back to 5, half a millimeter. So these settings are defaulted. You shouldn't have to change these, but if you do see a problem, you're going to want to know how to fix those problems. So up here, if I go to my Y, pull this out, you can actually see the supports coming through into the part, and that is controlled by your Z offset. So if I change this to 1, and this would be the lower support, in this case we're not going to see any difference there, but here you're going to see the support not going into the part as much. So it's only going 0.1 millimeters into the part now. So those are some of the options that you can definitely change in here. If we go into, again, this is a block support. So we go into the block tab, and what we can change in these options are the block support has 2 different kinds of teeth. It has the hatching teeth, which are inside the hatching. Let me unzoom this and look down here. The hatching teeth are the hatch, the supports that cross each other. The boundary teeth are the ones on the outside. So let's take a look at those. Again, this is defaulted in your supports, but if you want to change this, you have that option. Height. If I change this to 3, this is the height of the teeth, and I regenerate that, and you're going to see this height change from 5 millimeters to actually 3 millimeters. So you can see that the height was changed dramatically. Then what you have is the top length. That's from here to here, and let's just change that, take a look and see what happens. And you can see the length of the top portion that goes into the part actually changed. So let's go the base length of the support. That's this length from here to here. Let's change that to cut that in half. And you'll actually add more teeth in here because you'll have you're giving more area. So you can see it created a much thinner support. Now the base interval is the distance between each support. Let's just change that to 5. Regenerate. So you can see you have the ability to change the structure of the teeth. Again, based on the defaults, you should be fine. Each material was designed for their individual support structure, and the defaults should work for most geometries. Another thing here is the perforations of the support. If I just click that, you can see that it'll turn the support structure into a solid line, a solid support. It'll take these holes out of the structure. You want to have material flow. So this would be a closed area. Their material would not flow during the build. This would cause you a problem, especially with thick viscosity material. So we're going to put that back on. So let's go back into types. We've talked about block support, and that's what it is right now. We've talked about line support. And you can see a line support in this particular case would not support that surface to the degree of actually making a good build. There's just too much overhang. A point, again, that would not create a good surface there, but we can see actually what it creates is a single point in that area, and that would be good if we had small details. Web, we don't particularly use that. Contour, it'll just do the outside contour area. We do use that on occasions. You can see that. And then the last feature here is cone support. I'm not going to turn that on. I'm going to hit this none, remove that support completely, and then we'll go up to here and look at the cone support. Cone support, I pull in there and a dialog box comes up, and I can add a cone here, indicate, and I can keep on clicking onto this surface wherever, or small details. That's what this basically is for, a small detail. And we'll go into that a little bit more with the cone support when we get into small detail parts. Hit OK. So let's put this back to from a cone, and we'll put it, we'll remove that cone. And this, I'm going to just delete that surface. And then I'll turn this surface back on and make it into a block. And then what we'll do is we'll go into this 2D editor and show you some features in there. So what we've seen before on the 2D editor is this scissor, and that's a pull and drag feature. Pull and drag it. I'm using my left mouse button, pull, drag, let go, and that removes the supports in that area. This feature here gives me the ability to click the area around. I'll do the clicking with my left mouse button, and then once I'm finished, I'll click it with my right mouse button, and it'll actually cut it out like so. I can also, let's get rid of this support completely, I can add a line in there, so into an area. So if I have a feature where I need a line, I can add individual lines. That's straight lines. This line here actually has a webbing on it for a more support structure on it, you can see, and it also gives the ability to flow material through it. Here I can select the item. If I select it, then I get the choice. I can delete it. Let's select another item here, and I can deselect it, and then I can reselect it, and then delete it. Reselect it, and then delete it. And then if I select here, you can see that it only selected the line itself, that one feature, that one item, but it didn't select the cross-hatching. But if I go into the support and select the whole support, it selects the whole item. And then I can delete it from there. So this has, I can also, in this, I can go to my next support, which would be this support down here. And I can modify it. Let's go back to this support. There's several options of supports. There's a circle there. We can make a square support. We can actually make our own design on the support. I'm using the left arrow to create the design, right arrow to create it. So that's the options you have here in the 2D editor. I have our main supports. I can change that to a line support, and it will generate it back to a line support, back to a full block support. So that's 2D editor. Let's get out of that. I'm going to just exit out of there. So in our next lesson, we'll talk about cone supports a little bit more. We save cone supports a little bit differently. They become part of the part, and we're going to have to make sure that we resave the part when we make cone supports. Then we'll talk about point supports for small details. So that's the end of this lesson. So we've learned how to generate supports. We've learned how to evaluate the supports with the Z multi-section and modify the supports. And we've learned how to save the supports. Join us in the next lesson on our cone supports and point supports. That's the end of our lesson. Please review all our tutorials on the subject that you need help with. Bye now.